didn't grow up on the farm. I grew up outside of Lincoln, Nebraska, but my family was big into agriculture, and so I would spend weekends working on the farm in the pasture and everything. And I work for Arbor Day Farm, which is an Arbor Day Foundation property. And the orchard I work at currently is where J. Sterling Morton, the original founder of Arbor Day, had his first apple trees. So his son turned the area into a commercial orchard in the early 20s, and then carried that through and was at one time one of the largest commercial apple orchards in the Nebraska-Missouri River Valley. My undergrad is from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and I got my degree in natural resources. Wanted to be a forest ranger or something to do with the national parks research, and then found that that kind of job, A, did not pay very well, and B, was kind of hard to get my foot in the door. So I took a job with another local U-pick orchard as kind of a trainee position, and worked there for just over 3 years. Fell in love with growing tree fruit. First probably 2 years of my tree fruit career was drinking through a fire hose, because there was so much more information that I would learn at work. And then I'd go on IFTA conferences and see commercial orchards and just learn so much more. And then I thought I knew everything when I moved up to New York. And the first 3 months of that job, I was drinking through another fire hose, learning all kinds of stone fruits on top of apples, cherries, plums, peaches. And that really opened my eyes to the whole tree fruit industry. I would say the most important thing that I learned was labor. Not really something I'd ever thought about in a commercial orchard. Obviously, someone needs to do all the work and pick the fruit and take care of the trees, but I severely underestimated how much labor goes into a commercial orchard. And so that was a big hurdle, learning how to manage crews, how to manage piece rates, how to manage quality, all while kind of working to manage a crew of 40 people. The orchard I'm working at now, Arbor Day Farm, didn't really have a great growing system in place. There was no tree training, which was fine. It was a U-pick orchard, but I aspired to sort of revitalize it and plant higher density trees, plant newer varieties, plant varieties that will give me good hard cider going into that industry, and just trying to improve the overall quality of the orchard fruit and the orchard trees and ground itself. Horticulturally, I try to manage Arbor Day Farm as a commercial orchard would. That's kind of my goal, to help revitalize the orchard, sort of bring it into the next generation, so to speak, with my help, and just kind of modernize the farm in a way that works with our customer base and our production. I do have a set spray schedule. I am the IPM specialist. I am also the crop scouter and the labor manager, and basically everything that you can think of that goes into a commercial orchard funnels through me, whether that's going out and scouting for apple scab, or coddling moth damage, or trapping insects for mating disruption, or growing degree days of biofix and all those good things. I've kind of successfully learned how to manage and take on all those challenges. The top 3 problems I would face in southeast Nebraska would be the weather, which is a very common problem to everybody. We can get as low as -40 air temperature in the winter, and then it is as high as 110 in the summer with 90% humidity. So very challenging to try to mitigate both extremes. Second challenge would be the people, the guests. A lot of what I do goes directly to our fresh market apple house, our farm market, and a lot of it goes into our U-pick operation. So providing varieties that people want to pick is very different than having them go to the store and see all these different types of varieties, whereas I have, maybe 10 or 15 varieties at a time that are ripe, which is much less than what they would expect at the store. Number 3 would be, leading into that fact, would be managing U-pick. Managing crowds, managing tree health throughout the U-Pick period, educating people on how to pick an apple without knocking 15 more off the tree, protecting the branches, the fruiting spurs for next year, no shaking, no climbing. And then, people will go through and they'll see any old apple and they'll pick it, whether it's ripe or not. And so educating and trying to get better signage and some more education to people on which apples are ripe to pick, because everything in the store is ripe to them, but not everything in the orchard is ripe.